taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality, presented by the Triple S League.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast, your source for news, leaks, and insights about games in the gaming industry. Last day of August today, August 31st, 2019, Saturday morning edition of the show. My name is Ashenity, and I'm here as always with Cybsidian.
Good morning.
And of course, yesterday, the big gameplay reveal for Cyberpunk 2077. We finally got to see what everybody's been talking about for months, the gameplay that was revealed at E3, and then again at Gamescom to the select few. I shouldn't say the elite journalism class. It was kind of a joke I was going to make, but I don't want to give the wrong impression. I mean, there was a lot of independent creators who were able to see it too, including people like Andrew Alliance, who we interviewed afterwards and was just super stoked about it. He's the, he's the "you're not ready" guy, if you remember that. His Twitter reaction kind of went a little bit viral. All right, and welcome to all of you who are active in the live chat. And if you are listening live, please say hello in the live chat. Send us your questions and comments there as well. We will read and respond to as many as we can throughout the podcast. And don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough, and it tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content, and we really appreciate you doing that. If you're listening after the fact on one of the audio-only platforms, we're glad you're here as well. We appreciate your likes and follows. It does take us a day or two to get the podcast up to the audio platforms, so if you want the latest info sooner, we encourage you to hit that link in the description to subscribe to the Triple S League YouTube channel, and there you'll find all kinds of other interesting gaming content in addition to this. So, what did everybody think? After having a few hours to digest it all, I guess about 18 hours now, man, that was dope. And I'm just reminded of something that Andrew Alliance told us when he was on the podcast, that sometimes we just need to sit back and appreciate dope things. And you know, there's been some negativity in the press, there's been some negativity on the internet, but you know, it can be easy to get caught up in that. I have a tendency to get caught up in all of that and get focused on, like, why are people criticizing this aspect? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm not going to understand all of that. And sometimes you just need to sit back and appreciate something that's really dope and really awesome. And in my opinion, what we saw yesterday was pretty dope. Go ahead, Cyb.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to touch on the controversies so that we can kind of address them later on here and there, kind of when we get to them. The first thing is, so there's two issues with the character generator. One, there's the whole gender thingy, which, again, you can load up the game, select whatever character you're looking for, whether you want to play as a guy or a girl. You can set them up to be a vanilla guy or girl, and then you can hit the play button and have, you hit another button, and everybody will refer to you as, vanilla girl. That is unchanged. That's still been the way that they set it up, just because you can kind of mix and match some of those things in some of the attachments to your vehicle, as we say. There's really, nothing really has changed there. They've just added the ability for people to, like, mix and match stuff, which in the Cyberpunk world, yes, makes sense. Is actually kind of already in the game and was in the lore already. It was kind of put out a little wonky, but for the most part, we'll touch on this later. We talked about it to death on Wednesday, so
yeah.
So that's kind of a thing. The second thing is that there was no nudity in the character creator this time. That before they went with the holographic things, and now they were
up
wearing,
like the blue pixelation.
Yeah, but now they were wearing clothing. So this character creator is in progress, and that there were some issues with the pixelation not working correctly. In the past, they had it so that if you rotated the characters a little bit too fast, you get a peek at something. So so they kind of changed out for some clothing. Now, in what other game has this happened, and people not lost their crap over? And that would be Eve Online. Eve Online had the same kind of like generalized stuff. They had a whole bunch of like holographic clothing. They had a whole bunch of like stuff that was being added to the game that looked very sci-fi and very futuristic. And they had like little holographic clothing pieces and all that stuff. And that was in what was teased out. And then when that patch went live that brought in your character creator and all that, none of that stuff was there, and people got a little upset. But they got upset because they didn't have the cool looking options. Instead, they got ratty shirts and stuff like this. Like you're piloting ginormous mega starships that cost the entire GDP of planets, and you're wearing a raggedy white shirt. Well, I guess you got to save your money somewhere, right? That is happened before, and it's been around before, and it's not because the company wants to cut away the most awesome stuff. It's that most computers, like, the more stuff like that you do, the more taxation you're putting on the engine and whatnot. And so sometimes people just make it easier just cause. I don't agree with that. But the other thing that we have to remember is that that's not done yet. And this was also done for a public stream in which everybody was restreaming it, encouraged to restream it on Twitch, on YouTube, on all this kind of stuff. Lots of creators who do not specifically cover, Cyberpunk 2077 nonstop, were tuning in to watch it. Lots of people were cutting videos. I have been told that it was the safe mode, air quotes, that it was the safe mode so that people didn't get dinged when putting up videos and stuff by like adult filters and that kind of stuff. Unlike the previous gameplay, there was absolutely I don't think there was any nudity shown in this one, because of the fact that when some people put up the last year's video, some people got taken down for nudity. We were told this by some of the people ahead of time, that don't worry, you're not going to get dinged by anything. We're not going to suddenly fill the screen with a blue trailer hitch. Okay, so it's referencing Watchmen. It's like yeah, and in this day and age, you kind of want to know if that's going to happen so that you can pre-mark your stream. So that's kind of important. There are some streaming platforms that you can say 18 plus, but there's a lot of streaming platforms and a lot of like rules where if they had shown that even just a second of it, would have gotten a lot of people banned. And as we know, it is not universally taken care of. Like a certain Twitch streamer can poison her cat and throw her cat over her shoulder and be told, oh no, that's totally fine. And a different Twitch streamer can just throw her cat over her shoulder like the other girl did, in the exact same way, in the exact same fashion, and be given a permanent ban for animal cruelty. So let's realize that CDPR went out of their way to try and make it so that this was available to everybody. Don't quote me on this, but I'm Ash, you're seeing me on the camera. I sure am winking a lot right now, right? There might just be a toggle for this so people can calm down, okay? There might be. I'm just saying that there might be, Ash, you see, my eye is really weird. I'm winking a lot right now. But anyways,
I get what you're saying, but you only have the one cybernetic eye installed, so it's kind of confusing.
I know.
Just blinking.
It looks like I'm just blinking, right? So at any rate, guys, ladies, everything in between, please remember that controversy can be manufactured. And
no,
it's funny that I say that. It's funny that I say that because Forbes has this article right now saying that there's a bunch of manufactured hate and manufactured anger, about this game, and they're pointing the fingers at somebody. Now, I'm going to tell you who they're pointing the finger at, and you'll probably laugh at this hysterically. Are they pointing this at the finger of professional yarnalists who are walking around telling us that the sky is falling every single day. Forbes is claiming that it is YouTubers that is causing the drama, all of the drama around Cyberpunk, and that no other more official platform has been involved in such nefarious things. Isn't that I mean, I want to say joke, but I don't know, Ash. What do you call that? Like pure stupidity or just generalized stupidity?
I think I call that not understanding the internet.
Yeah, not understanding the internet, or maybe not having picked up a newspaper in the last 2
Nobody's
years.
picked up a newspaper in the past 2 years, but I will point out. I mean, I'm just checking right now, but we mentioned on Wednesday how we were talking about this whole gender thing in the character creator, and how these major news outlets that ragged on CDPR for a particular poster, which we saw in the gameplay demo, but they were ragging on it for being a certain kind of phobic that really, if you examine the context, it is not at all. And yet, excuse me, and ragging on them for all of these gender-related issues, they go and make this gender-inclusive change to the character creator. Where's the reporting on that? And there's 3 major outlets in particular that have not reported on that. And there's 3 major outlets that went after them hard. And that's very telling. And so, who's manufacturing the drama?
Mm-hmm. Right. So
anyway,
so
continue.
and so my examples were just quick. Don't take them too seriously, guys. But for the most part, we look at what's going on, and you can always kind of go, okay, all right, okay, this is kind of weird and annoying. So, anyways, the other problem that people are complaining about, apparently, is that Johnny Silverhand's ghost in the game looks like a ghost, and it's not very highly detailed. I don't get this one. We saw this one originally in the trailer, not the trailer, the little couple of snippets that made its way out from E3. We saw that he was, kind of a ghostly looking guy, and then they sitting back and they're going, but he doesn't quite look like I'm having a hard time trying to figure out this one. It's like the ghost of a dude doesn't look like a real high definition dude. He looks like he's some kind of digital ghost.
Well,
help me out with this one. Can you see the logic behind this at all?
I mean, okay, does he look like a digital ghost? Yes. Do I think he could look a lot better? Yes.
Okay.
And I hope that,
I'm just really confused about this.
I mean, yeah, he's not going to look as defined as the regular, as the normal people walking around. There's going to be some effects on him that make him look like a digital ghost. Plus, he is a relic of a previous era of technology, presumably. I mean, we don't know exactly the history of the chip and everything that he resides on yet, but he could be a relic of earlier technology. So maybe they're making him look a little bit old school in that respect. I don't know. I mean, personally, it's a minor gripe. It's a minor gripe on my part, and we'll have to, again, we're 8 months away. There's still 8 months of polish to be put on this game before the release. But I think Johnny Silverhand could look better, personally. But yeah, he's not going to look like... I mean, they're making him look... He's partly transparent. There's going to be some glitchy effects on him, that kind of a thing, and we'll see that when we go through the video. We are going to go through the video in a little bit here. We're going to go through the whole thing, just point out different things. And so if you are watching on YouTube or, live or after the fact, we'll let you know when to tune into the video part for that. I know a lot of you listen to this in the background, which is awesome. I'm glad that in a lot of cases you can do that, but this is one case where you may benefit from looking at the visuals.
We will explain what we're looking at so that everybody.
We will do too, because this does go out to audio only
we'll
platforms.
Yeah.
Anyway, did you have more to say about that?
No, I just find it really confusing that people are like I expected that. I expect in some some scenes in some locations he's gonna look really good, really sharp, right? But in other scenes, probably not so much, right? But again, it's like I don't know. Sometimes I just don't get it. I just don't get it sometimes. But that's just me being crazy. So, anyways, those are the controversies. Aside from some people saying, gunplay doesn't quite look good, AI doesn't quite look, top of the line. Now they've talked about how they didn't show all of the different types of units, and I was looking at the fight between the player and Sasquatch, and I couldn't really see anything that was terrible. It looked like a pretty good fight scene to me. So again, it's one of these things where it's like I don't really get this. So
Somnolence brings up another point: the controversy over third-person cutscenes being gone from the game. Now we're looking for some clarification on this. We're looking to see is this has anything really changed? We know that a lot of the dialogue cutscenes are going to be seamless first person, that kind of thing. Does that mean there are no cinematics in the game, no third person cinematics? We're reaching out and trying to get some clarification on that, because I was looking through a lot of the discussions on it, and there doesn't seem to be anything concrete. So we're looking into that still. So and the important thing there, just noticing Mark Jackson's comment here, asking Lelias, she simply says no noticeable transition. The important thing there is it comes down to the distinction between dialogue cutscenes and cinematic cutscenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're going through in game, and you're just engaging in conversations with people, those are first person. There are actions. There are things that can be called a cutscene in some way, but you are still immersed in it. You are still engaged in a dialogue. It's not like a lot of games where it cuts away. Suddenly you see your character, you see their character, the camera switching back and forth, that kind of a thing. It's not that. It's immersive, it's first person, and even where you look during the dialogue can affect how the conversation goes. You look down at the gun on the table, the person you're talking to might get a little antsy. That kind of a thing. But are there still third-person cutscenes in the game, like in the gameplay demo that we saw at E3 this year? The big, the scene with V coming to the apartment, meeting Dex Deshawn, that kind of a thing. That we're still looking for an official answer on that. All right. Anything else you wanted to go through before we start talking about some of the more specifics of what we saw?
No, that's basically it. Just a quick reminder again, for our audience, because you guys are pretty smart. Use your head. We've talked before how there's some interested parties that are really interested in watching this game fail, and you always need to ask yourself, who profits from big narratives that are contrived or created by various people in power. It's like, what's really going on there? Are they just saying what they're saying, or is there an ulterior motive? So just keep that in mind. Don't go crazy. And I get that, but sometimes sometimes there's more going on. So anyways,
all right.
Yeah.
Should we jump into the video then?
Yeah. Let's jump into the video.
All right. So, I'm bringing the video up on the screen right now, and Saib, I imagine you'll want to. You have some points where you want to stop. That we're not going to be looking at exactly the same video in order to save bandwidth. We're going to be each playing the video separately. but we'll do our best to describe exactly what we're talking about, stop it at various points, and hopefully this works smoothly with no issues. But anyway, are you ready to start then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in the ice bath already, so.
You are okay, but what are you looking at on the screen?
I'm in the ice bath.
Oh, you meant in the video. Okay, gotcha.
It's like 15 seconds in.
Yes, I was trying to make a joke there. Okay, so we see the ice bath. We see V here jacking into cyberspace, which is it's really cool that we actually were able to catch more of a glimpse of what cyberspace is about.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the
and this especially is like, you know, these scenes especially are really interesting because, you know, it's so, first of all, it feels like the Matrix. It's like crazy. But the other thing that's really important to point out here is that this is a big section that's been a big mystery for quite a while within the game in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to the point where, you know, you enter the digital reality, the local, you know, the local fortress, the local drives, right?
Yep.
And, you know...
By the way, I've got it paused at 1 minute 4 seconds here. I just wanted to take a look at this scene, because this is one of the first times we actually get to see cyberspace.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got, like, a physicality to it, but it's like there's these things that are there, but not really there.
Yeah,
it's really
you clearly
weird,
walk right through one of the big chairs that was there before.
Yeah, so we see, and I deliberately made it so you can see my cursor so I can point things out. Like, we've got one of these jack-in chairs here, but you also see people here. But they are, I mean, they're standing in different locations than they were before you jacked in. So it's like a physical representation of like a digital space. And so some of the things are there, but they're not quite there. It's really difficult to explain. I mean, I haven't completely nailed down the logic behind it yet, but it's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
Yeah, and we just saw her walk right through there.
Yeah.
Chair.
Yeah, so you have, like, you know, the people who were in their chairs getting, you know, hooked into the net and whatnot, they're now standing around, you know,
yep.
Because they're moving in here. I like how she moves. It's like when she decides to go somewhere, she's you know,
she just dashes.
The file moves her,
yeah.
But it's not her dashing. It's just her like quickly transitioning.
Yeah.
And then we see the local system or whatever local system they're connected into. Then we see the Great Red Wall, the firewall that's keeping back all of the you know, insane things that are on the other side, right? And this is a really, really good point, because it's like, you know, there's stuff behind that wall that they still don't, like, it's been well over 50 years, and we have no idea what's going on there. We have no idea what's there. And in a couple of these other sections, you know, we watch as like something is pounding on the wall from the other side. It's like, talk about a cool, like, you know, opening or a cool, like, concept. It's like, yeah, this is really great opening for the whole thing.
And this really this ties into the lore of Cyberpunk Red, and I mean, not referring to this wall. In Cyberpunk red refers to the red color of the sky after nukes and bombs went off during the Fourth Corporate War.
Hey, we all know from having watched Reboot that when you're cordoning off a section of the internet or computer systems, that it's always a red wall. So
you've got to, yeah, exactly. But I mean, what happened there? Like, there was an equally devastating attack on cyberspace, and that's why they don't have a sort of universal worldwide network like the internet in Cyberpunk 2077. They do, but most of it has been cordoned off by this big firewall, because there are AIs, there are things there that are very dangerous. And so that's why most of the time, you know, as you're going through the game and hacking, you're able to jack into a local network, but you can't, like, access things on the other side of the city. It's more like you can access things in this building or in your immediate vicinity. So
You can create larger networks, but you need physical locations every like major area, and you need to you need to have the connection and the way to like format and get information from one section of the city to the other. And so you need these like big connections that span like, multiple giant jumps and whatnot. So it's very interesting, and I'm so excited to see again where this goes from here, because this really opens up a ton of doors that we're going to be able to like peek into. And it's going to be nothing but cool and good. So yeah, so I'm really excited to see where we go from here. I think is going to be awesome. So
okay, all right. So moving on past this, then we have a montage of scenes of things we're going to see later on. Some of what
I love pulling out that gun from the holster. I think, or from the turret. I think that's just amazing.
I guess I was going to point it out to you yesterday, but I didn't want to ruin your excitement at that. Wolfenstein did it first.
No, I think Halo did it first.
Oh, fair enough. But anyway, I mean, it is really cool. It's really cool. I don't know if you guys are interested in hearing the narration here. I'm going to turn up the volume.
No, not really. I'd say not really. But yeah. I lied. There was a tiny little bit of a nipple there in that one scene. I forgot that was in there. So yeah.
All right, I think we're desynced a little bit, so let me know where you're going to pause. But the Sasquatch fight, very cool.
Yeah, no, it's all looking really good. So,
and this is the thing, like I mentioned yesterday, it's just been very exciting to actually see the things that have been talked about for months here since E3. We've been getting descriptions about all of this, and now we're actually seeing it for ourselves, and it's very cool.
Yeah.
That makes me laugh. The dude, the bad guy here saying, "I'm gonna feed your dick to the dogs." I don't know why I find that so funny. And then he gets his head blown off. I don't know. Poetic justice? I don't know. Okay, there's Johnny. Since we were talking about him just a second ago, I'm actually just gonna. He actually does not look bad in this shot. Now the lighting in this scene, I wanted to use this as today's thumbnail, but the lighting in this room in the game is just crap, and so I figured it wouldn't look very good.
It's all red.
Yeah, it's all red.
Glowing.
It's just disgusting lighting. Like, which is probably going to be really cool in the game. It just doesn't make good for it doesn't make for a good screenshot kind of a thing.
Yeah. And I mean, this is again, this is one of these moments where I think Johnny can, I think he controls, or I think in some scenes he's going to be clearer than in other scenes. Mm-hmm. In this scene, he's probably kind of really half there. And again, there is something to do with his visuals. There is a component that has to do with his visuals, with him looking not his normal self, that is part of the lore. And again, it's like, why don't people understand this? Like this was said, multiple times. It was first announced on our podcast with Lalaya that Johnny doesn't look like he looked back in 2020, when he died. And there's a reason for that. And people immediately look at this and go, Johnny doesn't look like he's supposed to. Clearly they're not doing very well. It's like what part of it's part of the lore, and there's a reason for it, and you have to discover it. It's like, if Superman shows up in a new Superman movie and he's a blue alien. It's like, oh wow, that's not because somebody screwed up. There's probably a reason for that. I'm just saying. Sorry. Keep going.
Okay. All right, starting from there.
You wanna take a look at that the like the chip thing. It's kind of cool where it's like looking at it and it's just like, there's not very much like probable identification on it. It's like, what's going on there? And then I'm really gonna look forward to the character customization. Really gonna look forward to
shot
it.
with the mirror here.
Yeah.
And here's another shot of Johnny.
Yeah, the
we see
book
him
is
over
actually
in-
quite. Yeah, the book that the player picks up is actually pretty interesting. That the player is picking up that particular book. That is a minor Easter egg. That's the first one that's been shown off. It's an internal Easter egg from the game's lore. If you wanna just back it up there to where he's holding that book.
What's the time code? I am.
That's just like seconds in front of where you were. It's immediately following the little chip scene there. There's a series of books on the table, and it's really really hard to get it. There's another scene.
There's a better
later
shot later of it. Yeah.
So but there's a couple of there's in those books. There's a couple of little Easter eggs are inside that little book scene there. But yeah.
Also, mix it up poster back here. Wonder what that's about. All right. The mirror reflection's really cool. It's bizarre. It looks like you're inside, but in the reflection in the mirror here, it looks like you're kind of in an outside area. So
it's a side street.
It's like one of those. Yeah, it's just like a little vendor kiosk. Just kind of looks like maybe it's just inset into a wall or something. But anyway, we see Johnny here as well. Without his sunglasses, he does look kind of rough in this shot. But again, he's holographic, and we'll have to see. I mean, this is also compressed for YouTube and all kinds of things. So,
So it's, again, when talking about like ray tracing and certain lighting effects, certain other effects, like video compression online is terrible for it. 4K is a little bit better, but this was streamed, and it's still not it's not like an amazing way of looking at it. So just again,
and it's not just it's not all about how many pixels there are. There's color compression and stuff too. So I mean, again, this note, you can barely see it here, but it says does not resemble the final look at the game. I mean, we need to take that seriously. I love Terra K's comment here. Though, caution: objects in mirror may be more outside than they appear.
Yeah.
All right. So then we have.
That's the good one, by the way. That's a really good one.
I'm just gonna try and skip past just this text on the screen here. Okay, 3 minutes 17 seconds. We get right into the gameplay start, and so this is some of what we had described to us. Oh, this is more montage. Never mind. So some shots of Night City here. Pacifica District. So this is a different district than what we saw in the first gameplay demo. We saw the Watson District in 2018's E3 demo, or the gameplay that followed E3, I should say. But the Pacifica District is interesting. It's a lot poorer. There's a whole history behind it that they described in the interviews after the gameplay reveal. So it's a poorer district. It was supposed to be like a center for tourism, but funding got pulled, and so you can see a lot of half-built buildings. You see the Grand Imperial Mall. You can see it in the background of this shot here. And that's, of course, where the one gang is holed up. But yeah, it's an interesting story behind this district. And I love the look of it. You can also see some of the verticality of the world in this shot. You can see the overhanging balconies, where you can walk on top of it here, but you can also be underneath it here. And this is where, it's just going to be a massive, massive vertical world with a lot going on. you know, and so and there's going to be a lot of buildings that have a lot more floors than just like 2 as well. So
Yeah.
now this,
No, I like a couple of these scenes here that are looking out over the ocean. Because you see a bunch of like floating like mega ships out there.
yeah,
Like big giant like floating combat ships.
we see one in this shot here.
Cool. There's a couple of smaller ones that are flying, but there's a couple of them that are like they're enormous. They look like air, they look like aircraft carriers, and they're just way out in the distance.
I'll try and highlight one of those when we get to it, but I just want to point out in this shot here, we're walking through the street, there's people just milling about, we're following this guy, and there's like a helicopter hovering right here, shooting at this building.
Right?
Or somebody shooting back, like there's this combat going on. Nobody seems phased. Everyone's just like, yeah, okay.
It was designed to be a tourist hotspot within the city.
Flying car there. Oh, now they're all just, this is a better shot of it, and they're all just sitting here watching it happen.
Concede this didn't pan out. When uncertainty struck the global economy, investors pulled their funding.
The people in this just look really cool. This is the it's one thing I've commented on several times, is just how real the people feel.
Yep.
Like they all just look really,
You know, people.
like
Some
real
people say you wouldn't have a bunch of people standing there watching, like, you know, some scene of, you know, somebody getting gunned down by like this airship. It's like, you've clearly never been in a war zone.
this is, yeah, they pulled a screenshot from this for the website. The Placide standing here looking at this destruction happening in the background. So this is something we're going to see during the gameplay. They've shown it in 3 or 4 shots now.
Yeah, well, it's a good scene. It's like, you know, it's clearly like, you know, we call those things the money shots. You know, where somebody's holding up some money and saying, "Hey, look, isn't this pretty?" You know.
Yeah, that's what that means. Sure, let's just move on.
That's where that
comes from.
But no, in this particular case, you know, they clearly it's one of the big events that happens, and there's one of those big giant airships, in the distance there. So that's really cool. Seeing these like giant floating ships out there,
yeah,
and what exactly they're doing there, or what exactly their impact is. I feel that, you know, we're gonna be seeing and getting to know this kind of stuff a little bit more.
And this is, you know, this is one of the cool things about this, and this is where I think we can get lost in the nitty gritty and lose out on the absolute dopeness, to borrow, you know, Andrew Alliance's term, of this world. Like, for all of its flaws, one of the coolest moments in Fallout 4 was when the Big Brotherhood airship arrives. And then it's there. It's sitting on the horizon. And it just, you know, it feels like there was a real change to the world. It wasn't there before. Now it is. Why is it there? You got to go check it out. You decide what you're going to do with it, and all of that kind of a thing. So yeah, why are these ships there? Why are these, you know, why were these buildings not completed? Why is this helicopter shooting at this building? There's just so much going on here. I mean, I really just want to dive in and be like, just explore this whole district, and this is just one of 6 districts in the city. So yeah, it's this. There's stuff that can be criticized perhaps as far as the shooting mechanics, but this game is not going to be primarily a shooter. You know, I don't think this is going to be the best shooter that we've ever played.
No, I was going to say that, I forgot to mention that in the intro, is that this is not going to be a top of the line shooter. This really isn't. And
but that's not the point, you know. It's
an RPG first. You know,
exactly.
In my humble opinion, this is going to be a far superior shooter than Anthem, or Destiny 2 when it came out. You know, Destiny 2's done a lot of like things to improve, but I mean, even in comparison to, you know, where they could be right now, like you're looking at that and you're saying, you know, gee, they really could have made something special, right? And I mean, you know, we sit back and we go, they really didn't. You know, for both of those games. In this, honestly, this looks far better. I would spend way more time doing this game than I would either of those other games.
Right. Yeah, but that's the thing too. Like the shooting doesn't look bad in it. It it might not be top of the line. It might not be Doom. It might not be, Rage 2 level combat. And that's the one good thing about Rage 2. It's about the only good thing about Rage 2. The combat mechanics were really, really good in it. But still, it's good. And so if it's a 7 out of 10 on the shooter scale instead of like a 9.8 out of 10, that's pretty darn good for this studio's first shooter and a game that's predominantly, first and foremost an RPG. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Taking a casual stroll here would not
There's the bike. Looks dope.
be a good idea. A fast
I don't know if I have enough street cred to actually say the word dope, but I don't care. All right, this is an armored car, we found out, which is really cool because it looks like a sports car.
Is that not what all armored cars look like?
yeah. This is it's your typical military grade armored vehicle.
Yeah, well, riding around in style, right? So
Yeah,
it
clearly
makes sense to me.
Clearly. I think it's
So no, I think the car systems in the bike systems and the driving around, like, you got to remember that too. How many shooters have a really stellar driving system?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how many? I can count maybe 2 off the top of my head.
You remember the painful experience trying to drive those cars around in the original Halo? Man.
Yeah, it was really messy. But like,
And
even
God,
then,
God help you if you let the AI drive. Wow, that was, I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, it's like so this game has car racing, like an actual racing mode is in the game.
Yeah.
It also has, where you can ride around, talk to people on your motorbike or in your car. Then you have, the ability to basically drive anywhere that you can. Okay, so there's that. Yeah, so that all looks good, right? And then it's an RPG with a deep skill system. And then it's also a shooter. And you got these absolute imbeciles saying, it doesn't look like a 10 out of 10 shooter. I was expecting a 10 out of 10 shooter because that's what I'm used to seeing. Because I played, I played Anthem, and that just ruined all shooters for me this year. It's like, really? That's your like, God. We have some people who like to give us their opinion from time to time, and a couple of them especially are very fun because when 76 came out, they're like, this is the worst game ever. I can't wait for Anthem because it's just gonna destroy this game. It's gonna just totally lay waste to this game. And I'm like, yeah, 76 has got a lot of problems, like a huge amount of problems. But I wouldn't jump on the bandwagon of Anthem until we actually get it in our hands. Oh no, you don't understand. I'm an inside person in the industry. I've seen it, and it is one of the best games that you will ever play ever. I'm like, oh, okay, sure thing. Yeah, we see how that went. So, yeah, when it comes to what we're seeing and what we're getting our hands on, I think Cyberpunk is in very good hands, and I think it's going to be very, very good. I don't think it's going to cure cancer, but I think it's going to be a pretty darn good game. So,
all right.
Well, it depends the cancer that you're talking about. Yeah.
but places
Anyway, sorry. Keep going. Keep going. That was a little bit of a segue. All right. Keep going. So,
So I paused at 425 here. Just looking at this vendor scene here.
and we know that the vendor system's really cool. Not all vendors are where they're supposed to be when they're, they have their own schedules. So they'll come and they'll go, and they'll have special merchandise at certain times. And it's going to be cool to see when and how the community figures that stuff out. Because it might be that a really cool looking jacket is only available for 5 minutes on Wednesday morning at 3 o'clock in game time. You know? And some people say, that's so dumb. No, I think that's cool. I think that's cool. You know, people used to say in MMOs, they're like, I hate going to the trainer. Just give me my skills as soon as I level up. Well, you look at, you know, how WoW Classic's doing right now, and apparently, you know, a couple million people disagree with that. Yeah, it's easier to just get everything handed to you on a silver platter, but sometimes it's nice to, like, you know, go out of your way to work towards something. You know, I thought that was the whole point of these games. So I really like the system that they're using with these. I really, really think that this is probably the absolute best thing that we can get our hands on. So I'm really excited about this. I think it's dope. I think it's going to be amazing. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
Mm-hmm. Also, the level of detail just in this scene is incredible. You see, like, this looks like this book here has actual words written on it. There's just, you know, so much going on in this scene. Plus, you know, you see the cultural influences. You see so much in this scene. And again, this character looks like a real person. Doesn't look like a video game character. They look like an actual human being. You know, not just a carbon copy with the hair swapped out kind of a thing. All right. What did that say? A hot mess in your mouth?
Yeah.
What,
You know,
what the heck is that?
everybody loves a hot mess in your mouth.
Moving on. Yeah, this place looks really cool. This underground. Oh, okay. Inventory screen. Paused at 432 here.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're getting into the RPG stuff. And this looks like... Sorry, this looks like a... this is a vendor screen. My apologies. Because you can see here on the side, you know, clear cart, buy and equip.
Buy it, yeah.
So, Samurai Jacket, Epic Clothing. So, we see here we've got different tiers of items that you'll be able to buy. So, we've got Epic level, which is the 4th of 5. So, we see this has 5 physical resistance, thermal resistance, electrical resistance, chemical resistance. And it's got the same... So, we have here... We've got 2 different items that have exactly the same stats. Now, is that a coincidence? Is that like all Epic clothing has?
No. This is what I was talking about yesterday. Is that they're working on a way to transfer the look and style of clothing, and yet giving you that same the same items, the same status items. So you basically can transfer your stats from one piece to another piece, and so you basically have slots in your gear. This is the easiest way I know how to describe it. So each item comes with a number of slots, and you can slot in and change over those slot items and deck yourself out in whatever gear that you want to.
Mm-hmm.
So your apparel can change, but because your slots, you're moving the stats from one piece to another, or you can move or keep those stats, and you just keep on bumping them up. Then you can change the visuals, but what you're actually like wearing can change quite drastically visually. I think that's good.
Which is really cool. Which is
if I wanted my stats to be constrained to the armor that I was wearing, you know, I do that in real life. So this is
where they're bending reality a little bit to make a more interesting and customizable RPG, which I am just fine with. We see also in the back, you know, behind these clothing windows here, we see what looks like some chips, like some sort of technology chips, and I think what these are things that you slot into your cyberware. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Cyb, but we know, like, when you have cyberware installed, they will have some customization, you know, abilities to them. So there are slots where you can install these, you know, modifiers that you buy, and so I think that's what we're looking at here.
Or that's the chips for the gear, and we don't know yet.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So, anyway, could be one of those. All right. But the dude here looks really, really awesome, too. Okay, here's the inventory screen.
Yeah.
So, pause at 433. So,
Yeah, no,
what do you
I
want to
see
point... Anything you want to point out here?
So, I mean, you have, looks like you've got 3 sets for weapons. You've got
That's up here, yeah.
a couple different like chip slots as far as like your items and your gear goes. Then you also have cyberware as the next little window there, and then you also have crafting as well. So you're going to be able to mix and match. We haven't seen the cyberware screen yet, and we haven't seen the crafting screen yet. But as far as the equipment screen goes, we've got a lot of options. We've got a hat. We probably have a hat. Face wear. So like glasses and stuff. We've got a shirt. We've got jackets. We've got pants, and we've got shoes. The one thing that is missing here, cdpr. Where's the underwear? Excuse me. I want to control what kind of underwear we're wearing. Just cause.
Just cause.
Just cause. So yeah, that's the only thing that I'm noticing here is that the only thing we don't see right now is underwear, and that's a little disconcerting to me, but that's about it. That's literally it. That's literally it. I'd love gloves, knee pads, like half a dozen other things, and a necklace slot for bling. Is that what the kids call it these days? Is bling?
I think that's
right?
what the boomers call it these days.
Oh,
all right.
Well, that's not a good sign.
All right. A shot of the Grand Imperial Mall here. And so this is going to be an important part of the game, an important location in the game, major gang hideout. And this is where the animals live.
Yeah. So, and I like this one scene. The dude's carrying like pizzas. Is it pizzas?
Let me just back that up.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Now. All right. Yeah, look. Those are like double extra larges. Of course, you see how ripped these guys are. Of course, they're gonna need a lot of energy to just walk across the room. But
I think that would be hilarious.
This is kind of an example of, so we're peeking over the top of something here, and keeping an eye on these guys. So we see it pull back. So that's an example of what your cybernetic eye is capable of, zooming in. Now, I still think that they'd be able to see us from this distance, but again, whatever. So yeah. So you'll be able to zoom in. So you do get that eye implant at some point early on in the game. You're able to zoom in, scan things, and
that's what we need to learn in order to earn the trust of the voodoo.
All right. So we see sorry here. All right. Placide. Very important character. Mm-hmm. And so there's this interesting scene where he's like takes your hand and is trying to jack you in, and you pull away and you're like, what the hell are you doing? And then he's like, well, yeah, you want to do this, you basically have to let me jack in. Then I can see what you see, I can hear what you hear, and then he presumably can just talk to you in your head. So
yeah, well, we know that this is going to be a kind of a thing because you have this here, and we've got we have other scenes and whatnot, where we've got Dexter Sean kind of has the same like team who's doing like the voice in the ear kind of thing in a couple of different spots too. So this is pretty normal.
Yeah, but it looks like you'll be able to have other these characters monitoring you if you let them. Mm-hmm. And so I wonder what happens in this scene if you don't let him jack in and you decide to reject the job. Things get violent. Does he just say screw off and get out of my office?
Yeah, we'll see with that. I suspect strongly that you have to have these people like hook in at some point. Probably, I would imagine.
Why? What for? You are my vessel now.
And here we see Johnny in the background here. He kind of looks like he's painted on the wall, but
This mysterious gang of highly skilled netrunners has close ties to the local Haitian community.
You are V? We have been waiting.
Haitians settled in Pacifica in the 2060s after natural disasters struck their island and forced them to emigrate en masse. The Voodoo Boys gang formed around this same time, though at a smaller scale. Now the gang effectively rules Pacifica.
so the Voodoo Boys gang, he says they're effectively rules Pacifica, and so this is one of the areas where law enforcement's not going to have a heavy presence.
No, but if you start, so this is going to be one of the areas where they talked about where if you are, if you're there, you're just causing trouble, you're just starting to shoot things up. The gang members, and here we can see in this one particular scene that you paused at, where the guy on the street is firing up at that. I could imagine that might be one of the local like guards trying to keep like
Lucky for us.
advertisers or spies or whatever out of their city, so they're acting as the guards of the local police force.
Yeah, I'm
so that's a good thing. Yeah, I think that's a good way of going about it. I think that comes across pretty cool and pretty well. So
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what this vehicle is. It says our eyes. I wonder if it's a net watch.
it's an to me it looks like it's an advertising car. This is advertising products to
Just
the
flying
poor
around.
people.
Yeah, okay.
Seems they're prepared to make an exception.
It's got it's. I really don't think this is going to be net watch or anything like that. I don't think that they use a brightly pink thing that's clearly advertising stuff.
True. Yeah.
It's like, we're Netwatch. We're a super secret agency. Come on down to
Very true,
blah, blah,
very
blah,
true.
blah, address.
Now this is interesting here. Is this one of the mega buildings, or is this just an abandoned regular building that's sort of
This
just
is
been
just part of
adapted?
the the locale you can go through and you're looking at stuff. So
That's right. It could just be a taxi with ads on it. That's true.
And Imperial Mall, currently occupied by the Voodoo Boys' deadly enemy, a gang called the Animals.
2035.
Yeah.
07. 3 seconds before, poof, a camionette.
Let me know if there's any particular place you want me to pause here.
The Animals are not
I had noise going on outside. I like how this van here. So this van is basically it's like a stealth van. It's not stealthing itself. It's scrambling all of the visual things that might be recording it. That's really
that's very cool.
right?
That is
Like
very cool.
it's there in reality. If you were physically standing there, you'd see it. But if you had like any kind of electronic eye, if you had like digital video camera set up, you wouldn't be catching it because it's not there. Because it's editing itself out of the footage, any footage that gets its hands on it. And that's really cool. This is what they're going after. This is what the Voodoo Boys are looking for, because the Animals have this piece of tech that is like, I mean, they're animals. I mean, sure, they use like cybernetic augments and stuff like that, but I think they're smart enough to be running around with one of these cars? No. Something else is going on here. And again, I say this is why they edited this. I really don't think this was the scene to show us. I think they should have showed us something else from earlier in the game. Primarily because this is given away that there's like more going on than meets the eye. And if you were to get any more info about how this quest completed or any more of the dialogue, we'd be able to kind of verify that basically Netwatch has given the Animals this thing, and they're using this hookup to do certain experiments or to get access to certain pieces of information. So yeah, this is kind of huge. This is kind of huge because the plot details that's getting put out here is quite significant. So yeah,
So if you had one cybernetic eye and one natural eye, you would like see a ghost of this van, right? Like it would kind of be half there.
well, I mean, it depends what eye you're looking at it with.
Well, yeah, exactly. But like if you were looking at it with both eyes at the same time,
Then you would see it with. See, this is where I'm a little confused. You know, your human biology is too confusing to me. I don't understand what you're meaning by this, but that's just because I don't.
whatever.
understand
Let's just carry on. But yeah, that is a very cool piece of tech.
The animals are not your normal gang. Their presence
Yeah, I would imagine that if you were looking at it with biological eye, you'd see it, and then your digital eye wouldn't have it there. So I don't know, what do you mean by ghost car?
Like
So-
you'd sort of half see it and half not if you're looking at it with both eyes. There's our Sasquatch with the big glowing. she apparently is not familiar with old school video games, but I mean, anyone who's ever played a video game before knows shoot the glowy thing.
Especially that's on their back. If it's on
Yeah.
their back and it's glowing, like that's clearly your target there. So
Yeah, exactly.
In this case, it's a woman named Sasquatch.
Said you wanted my vet. No. As far as I remember, you said no phone
We got some kind of hearing aid here, like able to hear these conversations from far off.
That's the cost of doing biz.
This is the tech Placide was talking about. It seems non-standard for the animals.
Okay, here's a close-up of the van tech. That does seem pretty non-standard for the animals.
Where we come in. Getting to the van won't be easy, but
There's
we're
your
more than
turret.
qualified for the job, which we can complete in one of
Now here is where we can actually see a good shot of this book here.
than qualified for the job. Which we
yeah.
can
Pausing
So
at
there's a whole bunch of
7:25.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of books in there that are little Easter eggs for the internal lore. So the lore within the game, you can see. So there's books by Dix DeShawn, which is kind of cool. And then you've got a book by there's a couple. If you could just move it ahead a screen or two, you'll see some of the other books in here.
many
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
we got a
there's
comic
several
book
of
here.
them. Yeah, there's a comic book. You've got the Max Tack Way. You've got like just a load of these books. Is like, wow, I can't believe they put all of this stuff in here, because it's so cool to
Yeah.
kind of have all this like mini little moments of lore. Like there's the Sinara Station. There's Guide to the Net. Yeah, it's it's pretty darn cool. There was a couple other things in there, but anyways, we won't
Guide
cover
to the
it.
Net is this is a very significant book in the lore. It's written by Rache Bartmoss, who is the person who is responsible for the destruction of the net. One of the most legendary net runners in the lore. I just wonder how much of those books you'll actually be able to read. Now this, we won't focus on this too much because we've talked about it a lot before, but you have the three starting point, like the three backstories you can choose from, and then they open up certain dialogue options for you depending on which backstory you picked. So I mean, you'll be able to you could do 3 different playthroughs and have the story branch off in 3 different ways because of picking each of these 3 different life paths.
Yeah, I think so this is really kind of cool. where
Here's the
they're-
controversial underwear scene. The character creator.
Yeah, and again,
Alright,
it's
character
like
creation.
Again, it's probably just a toggle.
More than likely.
Yeah.
All right.
So we see our character customization is pretty advanced. It's not Black Desert, but we don't know how many different how many different options there are. We don't know if there's a height one. We don't know if we can customize hands and leg length and, I mean, finger length.
Now, let's
so many
we should be
things that
careful
people can do
focusing
these
on this
days.
too much, because again, they've
This
emphasized
is
many
so
times
so
that
much of this is under.
this is a work
In the
progress
last
still.
6 months, they've had 5 or 6 different major changes to character creation. So again, don't read too much into that.
Yep.
Honestly.
Although if there's anything less like than being able to just pick your, like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to absolutely customize your eye color, like pick any color in existence, in my opinion. It seems like, you know, like we have had that in character creators before, and so like I'd be surprised and a little disappointed if you can't just kind of punch in a hex code and pick your character's eye color, that kind of a thing. Skin tone, I mean, I don't know what they'll do with it, but I have to think they'll be expanding it beyond just these 6 tones.
Yeah, and we know that there's already been some nodding on the community podcast last week. We had some subtext going on when discussing and talking about the potential for whether or not you can have chrome skin. All right. So if you're paying attention to that, that's kind of a big deal.
So anyway,
Kind of a big deal.
this is cool to kind of see the direction they're going, but just take this as a general direction. Don't take this as this is what the character creator looks
It's
like.
not finished
It is
yet.
absolutely not finished. It is a work in progress. Probably more of a work in progress than most of the rest of the game.
And honestly, as far as this goes, as far as like look at Fallout 4, right? You didn't have some things open up to you in character creation until after you left the vault.
Yeah.
So some things were available to you in one way, and then once you got out, you had a couple more things open up for you. And I think that's probably what we're going to see here. Probably, going around collecting different hairstyles, collecting different stuff is probably quite likely, in my humble opinion.
Some of it might be cyberware related as well. So, but anyway, yeah, like the surface wiring does look really cool.
Style, but also your abilities.
So here wow, that was some bad compression there.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, that's better. All right, adjust our attributes: body, intelligent, reflexes, technical, and cool. So this is 5 of the
straight out of the pen and paper. So
yeah, absolutely. Now, they don't have all the stats here, and not all of them necessarily translate well to the video game version. But yeah, so this is, so we'll be able to put points into stats like this.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Here's the inventory screen again. We've already talked about that. Here we go. Skill tree. So you have attribute points, you have perk points, and based on, so we've got our 5 stats sort of arranged in a circle around our character level here. This is the first time I've really taken a close look at this, so I'm just kind of
this is one of the things that I
assessing
wanted
as I go.
to go through yesterday. But so yeah, we can see that we've got one athletic tree. We've got we have a melee tree, a two-handed tree, shotguns tree. That's all out of the body. Under technical, you've got engineering. Under intelligence, you've got hacking. Under cool, you've got assassination, nerve, sniper rifles. Under reflexes, you got handguns, rifles, and blades. So if you want to go, really physical melee type, then you're going to need to boost both body and reflexes.
Yep. To answer your
And then
question,
you're also gonna want to boost cool to get your assassination up if you want to go sneak. So this is really important stuff.
Double asterisks. Strength is the body stat, and and so underneath this, you have your melee, athletics, two-handed shotguns. So now, it appears that the number of points that you put into each stat caps out the number of points that you're able to put into each of these sub skills.
Just to, I feel like I kind of want to go on this quick rabbit hole. So the reason why in many games you have different names for different things is because why body, right? Body, it just makes sense to say physical strength, right? Why do you have to say body? Well, interesting little lore bit. In the early days of like creating games that had like stats and character stats and whatnot, there was somebody who was like iconic as a kind of like early adopter of building these kinds of systems, and they were super lawsuit happy, and they went around suing anybody that tried to like copy anything within their particular system. And what this did is this forced a lot of creators in the early days to kind of branch out and come up with new and different systems. The reason why we have Fallout and the Fallout stat systems is because they were back in the day that they were originally like one of the people that were told, no, you can't use this other system and I'll sue you if you do. So they came up with the special system for their stuff. And this person ran around trying to sue everybody so much that they ended up didn't focus on their game. Now nobody knows about that game because they were too busy trying to sue everybody instead of making their game good. Interesting little side roll, kind of cool. But anyways, that's why you have a lot of these different names and why some things are kind of similar but not really. So anyways,
right.
But
now people are asking about charisma. Charisma falls under the cool stat, and that's more clear in the pen and paper version. What I'm not clear on is why we have sniper rifles under the cool stat.
because they're so cool, man.
Well, yeah, I mean they are cool. I'm not sure if it's the same way in the pen and paper version. We also have assassination under the cool stat, but nerve. People are asking what nerve is. Nerve, I believe, has to do with
intimidation.
Yeah, it's like when you're staring down people. There's this thing that happens in Cyberpunk Red, where when you have two people, when you encounter another character for the first time, there's like a standoff that happens, and your cool stat plus your reputation stat determines whether or not you're going to be intimidated or whether or not you're going to have the nerve to stand up to this person. It's kind of like if you're meeting a very intimidating figure, your sort of personal charisma plus whether or not they've heard of you kind of affects how they react to you, and there's a dice roll that plays into that as well. So I think that is what the nerve skill is about. It probably has other aspects in this as well, because I don't think there's a one-to-one correspondence necessarily between the way this works and the way the pen and paper game works, because they're just very different styles of game. Anyway, you were going to say something though, Sib.
Yeah, no. That's it. That's it.
Okay.
But I mean, no. So sniper rifle. So okay, in some like battlefield scenarios, or like not battlefield scenarios, in like mercenary type like corporate espionage / like assassination type things. If you're going in with like handguns or blades or even rifles or like close, anything that your point of attack is within less than like 50 meters, you're gonna want some body armor, and you're gonna want to like be protected. But there's only one way where you can like walk in with like girl can walk in with like a sexy frilly skirt or whatever, and or a guy can walk in with like just wearing whatever like fancy suit he wants to wear. And that's when you're using a sniper rifle, because obviously you're if you're within like If you're within 50 meters, you're doing it wrong, right? So this is where my humble opinion. That's why the cool stat has the sniper rifles, because you get to look more cool. You can be, I don't know, a chrome short person with a pink mohawk, not wearing any clothes, right? That's referencing the Valentine's Day thing. Yeah, that's a thing you could do there. Whereas you can't really do that, normally, like subdermal body armor or something like that. But,
All right.
Yeah.
We should move on because we are
Yeah.
we're, just
keep
over
going, keep
halfway
going.
through this. All right.
Well, it gets a little bit more like, so now we're into like the actual mission, kind of going through it here, and
We see some of the combat, some of the. Now that guy just blew up.
yeah.
What was? Let's see here. Upload pin puller. Upload leg
Yeah,
jammer.
she's pulling the pin on his grenade.
Cool.
Yeah. From a distance.
Jeez.
She's not actually pulling the pin. She's just like setting it to go off, basically.
Solos prefer a direct approach.
So yeah.
Guns and might.
Then we've got, then we're switching over to the strong solo type. So you're walking around with big guns and shooting people, punching people, stabbing people. I like how they react. There's a scene there where she shoots the person in the side or the hip or whatever, and the person's like, ow, 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 and then they finish them off, right? So again, I mean, you don't even see that in some shooters,
Yeah.
right? And then some of these other AI, like, again, this isn't going to be the ramping the AI up to the hardest level. These AI are taking, they're taking positions. There's some rushers. They're like trying to use some generalized tactics. We haven't encountered in this any of the enemies that utilize the speed skills, where they're starting to flip around the battlefield because they're moving at bullet time and you're not. So
Yeah.
There's
the Sasquatch fight, and we finally know what that sign says. Leave now.
Vast and strong as Sasquatch, the leader of the
Okay, what's going on with my video here? Hang on.
gain access to powerful melee combat.
I don't know.
So even
All right, there we go.
someone as
All
fast
right,
and
that
strong
looks
as
better.
Sasquatch,
Yeah.
the leader of this group of
Now,
animals,
Sasquatch can just take bullets, and it makes more sense in this. And I'm actually going to pause it here because there's something cool. I'll try to show you. There's actually a brief moment when she throws the hammer at you. There's a brief moment where an equip dialogue or an equip menu comes up. I don't know if you'll be able to catch it out of the air or if that's just a little blip, but it looks like you'll be able to, after she throws it, maybe pick up that hammer and use it, or maybe even catch it out of the air if you have the strength.
Yeah, if you have the stats and the strength stats
to
enough,
do that. Yeah, but
imagine being able to catch the sledgehammer and then use it against her. That would be pretty darn cool. I think
it would also be funny if
thing.
if you try to catch it and you don't have the right stats, if it just flings you across the room. I think that would be funny
It's
too.
like Hulk trying to grab the hammer from Thor.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
yeah,
I got this. Boom, off he goes.
Now, Sasquatch is kind of bullet spongy here, but in this world it actually makes sense because she's probably got some subdermal armor, some other things going on.
I've never been against bullet sponginess. I know some people are like.
I just find
It's
it
like-
when
It's so weird that there are some people who play these games and they're like, hey, I hate bullet sponginess, but if you show up in anything other than full body armor, they're like, excuse me, what are you doing? That's so unrealistic. Well, it's only one shot that takes you down anyways, so why not just wear what you want? It's like, no, you have to wear spectral armor with Kevlar overlays, with full on armored helmet, so that if you get shot in the head once, you instantly die. I don't understand that. Like, FPSers out there who believe this, explain to me how this works. How you don't want somebody showing up in a bunny suit because it's not realistic, but if you don't die by taking a single headshot from a pistol, then the whole thing just doesn't, like, you're just instantly insulted. I just don't get this. So please, in the comments, please explain this to me, because I'm very confused on this.
Well, I don't know. I can't speak
I don't
for.
know, sorry for the.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I can't speak for everybody, but I mean, for me, it's more like if you pump 3 headshots into a guy who's not wearing a helmet, and he just kind of shakes it off, that's where it breaks immersion for me. That's the whole thing. If it's like, oh, you hit their helmet, and then the helmet flies off or breaks, and so that allows them to survive a headshot, you know, that makes more sense. But, you know, if it's just if they're unarmored and the bullets are actually hitting their body and they're just absorbing it like it's nothing, that's where I have an issue. But again, in this world, it makes sense.
Yeah,
You can have the subdermal armors. You can have the different defensive things.
We saw that in the first teaser where somebody just shrugs a bullet off to the face.
Now this where Sasquatch is kind of writhing on the ground here. I think the animation here is really well done, and it was probably mocapped, but
We want to finish her off or spare her.
I just think, that
Your rules.
it's a really cool scene. She doesn't just go bah and fall over.
Hide and strike from the shadows. No
Yeah.
problem.
And then whether or not you choose to finish people off,
Yeah,
and
that'll
that's 1, kill. Or option 1, kill. Option 2, snoo. It's so bad. Anyways, brilliant. So
we breach here's some of the hacking abilities.
yeah,
the net
so
runner
I'm still not getting how this hacking thing works. Like, I mean, I know it's kind of makes sense, but it's like, okay, main objective, basic access is.
Oh, you're looking at the actual
1C
hacking minigame.
Yeah, then you
Okay,
got
once I get there,
programs.
I spent some time studying this yesterday, so I'll try to explain it here. So what happens is you have a starting point up at the top left corner here where it says XX. Basically, so main objective 1C BD. You have to select a 1C and then immediately select a BD in order to hack this objective. And then there's some secondary objectives here as well. So if you select 55, 1C, 1C, 1C in that order, then you unlock this program prototype kind of a deal. Now the way it actually works in terms of the game is, so you're starting at the top left corner. You can pick anything in this horizontal row, the 55, the BD, this 55, or this 1C. Once you select one, we'll see him select one here. Selects 1C there. Now you can select anything from this vertical row. Now, you can see there's no BD in this row, so you can't actually hack the main objective from here. But you could select this E9 and unlock camera lag.
Log.
And camera. Is that camera log? That looks like an A.
I'm pretty sure that's camera log.
So anyway, it says so it's access granted there because he selected this one and then this one, which was the correct sequence. But you can see.
Well, you know what? I think you're actually right. I think that is camera lag. That's lagging out the video on the security feeds so that they're not seeing what's going on. They're just seeing duplicate of like an hour ago or whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Now,
I guess
if you look here and along the bottom, you see there's six slots, and you see the codes or whatever that you've picked so far. So I think you're limited. So you kind of have to play strategically, figure out
so maybe if you're only going for the encrypted data or the program data, I mean you can't even take the program data and the encrypted data. You can do the officer tracing and the encrypted data, but you can't do those two things and something else. You can't even do either one of those things and the program data, the program prototype, So that's kind of interesting.
Yep.
So, interesting. Okay, this is cool.
So you might want to study it for a minute and think like, how many things can I
Unless
hack into?
unless they stack up, because you did have the 1C and the E9 for that log. Then you need a 55 1C and two more 1Cs for the program data, but you also need that 55 and the 1C for the officer tracing, and you also need that BD, I think, for the no. So if you then maybe you can just pick that because you've already doubled over
Yeah, they do stack
one or
like
two
that
of
because
them.
you can see up here
Ah,
under the
okay.
main objective, 1C is highlighted, and under program prototype, we got the 55 and the 1C highlighted. So
Ah, gotcha. Okay, now I'm with it. Now I
selected the
know.
55 and the
This is
1C. Yeah.
Now this is unlike hacking in normal life. So
No, really? This
yeah,
isn't
this
how
is
it actually works.
surprisingly not
It's not
the
just
way it
a
works.
it's not just a Sudoku puzzle to figure this out. So yeah, so he's managed to unlock both of these, officer tracing and the camera lag, and then the last one that he's going to select here is BD. He or she, I don't know who they're playing as right now. So and then okay, here's the summary. Now here's what I don't know. Do you get multiple attempts at this? That's what I don't know. And is there a time limit? Can you sit there and stare at it forever to figure out, okay, what's my optimal thing to unlock everything that I want to unlock? So there's some unanswered questions here, but this is kind of generally how it works. And I imagine if it's a more secure area, the grid might be bigger. You might have less options, or less moves you can make in the minigame, that kind of a thing. Now, there's a couple of different things we're also seeing here. Like, there's some remote hacking that's happening, like we see here with the robot.
Yeah, this is all just like point and basically access. So you've got there's hacking that you do with the hacking minigame, and then there's hacking that you do with your tether line, which is the next thing that they're going to show, and that's like you have to have be closer, and you can hack certain things that way. And then there's remote hacking that you can do from a very stealthy position without establishing a physical connection. And so that's what these three different things are. Some people were confused because they're lumping them all into the same thing. And, well, just don't do that because you look stupid. So it's three different types of hacking.
Yeah.
Ranged, physical connection via ranged, and then physical connection. So sometimes you need to plug in with like a thing from your hand. Other times you can do it through the nanowire. Other times you can do it just through visual range.
Right.
And obviously things like they're not going to have a super secure function on the next example here that they're showing in the video is hacking the drink dispenser. So yeah, it's like obviously they're not going to have that. They're not going to bother with bank security on something that only has like $50 worth of stuff in it. Obviously that's kind of pointless. You're going to accept a certain level of loss there. And then obviously when it comes to a person, you're gonna want to have a far more protections, and so you need that physical connection. So yeah.
Yep. So here's the scene you were talking about, hacking the drink machine.
Yeah. Because again, you can do this by range, just by looking at the darn thing. And yes, look at all those drinks coming out of that box.
Yes. Let's not dwell on that too much.
And Maya, I gotta say that the way those lines sure looked like it was giving the middle finger to somebody. I wonder who that would be. All right, here's more of the hacking, more of the red wall, and this is stuff that you have to do like up close and personal.
What exactly are we looking at here? I'm just paused at 11:45. There's some kind of a 3D
So yeah,
map.
This is part of the net watch stuff. You're getting this info. This is part of the city. Like you're looking at the city right now. You're looking at Night
Yeah.
City.
Placide is saying this is a data flow map of Pacifica.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what?
So you're looking at um you're looking at Pacifica as it is, like as you would see the digital information from Pacifica coming in. So obviously you see places where there's data that's moving around freely. That's what's essentially creating the 3D representation of a map. Now this is far more accurate as far as like real sci-fi technology. If I were to like show you every connection, Wi-Fi connection, short Wi-Fi, long-term Wi-Fi, devices being used, represented in with like basically points of light or lines or maps or something, you would get a kind of a shadowy image of an entire city just by looking at data like this. So
Very cool.
I would love to like bring a picture of this from work sometime to show you kind of what this kind of stuff looks like when you're looking at it from up above. But yeah, that would be very illegal of me. So
So we have the money. Sorry, the money on the desk just kind of was glowing there for a second, and I'm not sure if that's like just an in-game HUD thing so that you know to pick them up
like fire and ice.
or what.
The first of these wants to maintain the old order and protect people from AI originating
well, yeah, this is probably just like, hey, cool lootables, right?
Yeah.
with the free AIs. They believe
Especially when it comes to money, you kind of want, especially when it comes to like physical money. I mean, you know how rare physical money is in this game.
this as the
So,
both are right.
well, probably not that rare, but still, you know, it's like physical. Cash is king, baby.
I didn't notice this before. He's watching like an old Western movie on his screen here. This Netwatch agent
Yes, yes.
in
You-
like
do you know what
ultra
movie that is?
quadruple widescreen.
Is entirely up to you. Do we side with the gang, choosing to be
Yeah,
on
some movies were filmed like that.
But can we
I think it's one of the old great westerns from like the 50s too.
possible options?
So
But in each case, we take
it's kind of cool.
think I'll just stick to my plan.
And then yeah, so in this particular quest, let me just say that the Netwatch guys are correct, and the Voodoo Boys are not correct. So if you were wondering, well, which way is going to burn the city down faster, go with the Voodoo Boys. If you're wondering which way leads to more stability, yet with like obviously the cost of something, then you go with Netwatch.
Yeah.
If you want to watch the world burn, side with the Voodoo Boys.
Terror K says he's playing Red Dead Redemption 8.
Cyberpunk 2077
Yeah.
every decision
That
you
actually
make
makes sense. That's funny.
Your choices will shape how the world reacts to you.
But yeah, this is an interesting
One of those relationships is special.
it's an interesting point of view on this story.
A rebel
It's
rocket
like
boy who will be your companion throughout your adventure in Night City.
Come on, really think they give a rat's dick how you look?
Like
Yeah,
everyone in Cyberpunk 2077, he has his own agenda. You'll decide if
Yeah,
he'll
and
be
so
your
here's
ally or your enemy.
here's an interesting question: is like how much do you trust Johnny
Conflict
Silverhand?
which Johnny lives inside your mind.
How much do you
Well,
like
that's a
as the narrator just said there, he's got his own agenda. And
Yep.
so yeah, and then I guess you'll probably have to decide at some point if you side with that agenda or not.
But as they said, that is only one of several different ways around it. You have, and I really like where they kind of like pull back on this, and they're showing like the map of all of the different options and outcomes and how certain things, you know, connect with others, and how if you make one choice, that kind of closes off other choices. This is going to be an absolute joy, but it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of work to go through here and kind of give you guys like what happens to get you like the best particular types of endings or what I mean in Cyberpunk there really is no best ending. There's just slightly better than the worst things that could possibly happen. That's what Cyberpunk is all about. So So yeah, I'm really interested to see where they go from here with this, and I think this is really kind of a cool, this is definitely a cool concept. So
Right on.
yeah.
All right, well, that's the video. That's all we have as far as that goes. We were going to talk a little bit about the interviews that happened after the fact, but I mean, we've been going for more than an hour and a half here. I think it's probably time to wrap this up, wouldn't you say, Simon?
Yeah, we're pretty good. Let us know your questions, your comments, things that you guys are interested in. Please hop back either into our Discord or into the comments here later, and let us know what you're looking, what you want us to focus on, or questions that you want us to ask. Stay tuned. Of course, tomorrow we have our community podcast, and then we are going to have a ton of more content and special guests with that. So stay tuned, because it's all looking very, very good.
Absolutely. And we're also doing a giveaway right now. If you check the pinned tweet on our Twitter feed, the Cyberpunk 2077 community podcast crew, we are giving away 3 copies of the digital jumpstart kit for Cyberpunk Red. And so find that tweet, follow the instructions there, enter yourself to win one of those. Make sure you follow all the accounts that we recommend you follow, because, we're going to be giving away one, Mad Queen's giving away one, Neon's giving away one, and so you need to be following those accounts on Twitter to find out if you've won. So, but if you're interested in Cyberpunk Red, definitely enter to win those, and those come to us courtesy of Artel Sorian Games. So absolutely, and of course, as Saib said, tune into the Cyberpunk 2077 community podcast. It's on our channel this week, tomorrow, so regular time, as it always is. All right, thank you so much, everybody, for the active discussion in the live chat today. Thank you for joining us as we do a deep dive on the deep dive of Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay that we got yesterday. Don't forget to slam that like button before you leave. And also, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff that tells YouTube you appreciate this content. Thank you to our Patreon supporters, our big damn heroes on Patreon, Old Man Manson, and our 2 anonymous supporters. Our channel members, Captain Dammit, Jason Cropper, Mr. Padzernik, Jer Schultz, Game Notes, Paul Young, and Night City Punk. If you're listening after the fact on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, or any of the other platforms this podcast goes out to, we appreciate your interactions on those platforms as well. And don't forget, you can join the live show on YouTube, Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings, where you can interact with us and other listeners and be a part of the discussion. See our Discord server for the exact times and schedules. The Augmented Reality podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Asheninity on behalf of Subsidian. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll talk to you again very soon.